Oh, all right. Um, I'm sorry about that. I had to. I was just live a few minutes ago. I had to end the show for a second, but I'm back now. I just wanted to sit down real quick because there's a couple benches over here, but I'm still in the same area. Um, so anyway, of course, I'll start off with saying Shalom. Of course, want to give all praise to Yahweh, Abba Shem Yahushai, for the wisdom and the understanding of the gospel of this truth. And of course, sincere Shalom, to all the brothers out there, pushing this truth, throughout the earth, right, wherever they might be, man. Okay, because we're definitely in some spiritual times here, man. Okay, and that's for damn sure, man. Okay, as I was saying, in the last one, man, these prophecies are popping off, man. Right, these prophecies are popping off like popcorn, man. And you can see it, like I was talking about this whole Omicron thing, right? Whatever it is, it's like, damn, man. They're gonna have to close down the country. As Larkin Rose would say, the crunch, side joke. But everything's gonna have to be closed down again, man. Okay, and it tells you in the Apocrypha, I want to say Second Ezra is the 15th or the 16th chapter. It says a man shall desire to go into a city, and he will not be able to. Right, a man's going to desire to go into a city, but he's not going to be able to go into a city. Why? Because everything's going to be closed off, man. Okay, everything's going to get closed off. Okay, and they were trying to do that last year when all of this first started, man. Everything was starting to close off the borders of certain countries and stuff, man. Right, but it's going to get worse on this, I shouldn't say third go around. Okay? Oh, as they say, as the old saying goes, right, the third time is a charm. Right, as the old saying goes. I wanted to deal with this, man. Okay, these guys are out here talking about, that Christ done away with the law. That you can eat whatever you want today. As I said, excuse the, let me just see this real quick. I want to try to take the sunlight out of your eyes in case. Okay, that should be good. Yeah, it should be better. Right, but these guys want to, come on here and talk about that Christ done away with the law, man. But that's not true. Okay, Christ did not do away with the laws. That's not in the Bible. The Bible doesn't teach that. All right, the Most High, Yahweh, was the same yesterday, today, and forever. Let me get that real quick. If you go to the book of, Hebrews chapter 13. Hebrews 13 and verse 8. It says, Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Right, so Christ, who the world calls Christ, okay, he was the same yesterday, today, and forever, man. Okay, so the Most High, never changed. Okay, the Most High never changed his laws, statutes, and commandments, man. Okay, the same commandments that the Lord had back then, he still has them today, man. Okay, and people are going to be judged, off of those things. The one thing I was thinking about is, yesterday I was in the show, this character, Mike, called in, and his dad called in too, and the one guy was saying that, the other laws might exist outside of, the Ten Commandments, but he's basically said, I don't think, the Most High will kill, you if you don't follow, these laws, right? So basically it was just saying, just follow the Ten Commandments, is what he was saying. But here's the problem with that. There's certain laws and statutes written that are not included in the Ten Commandments, man. Okay, so what they're trying to do is to make you forget about all those, right? Christianity is just teaching people that there's only 10 commandments that you have to follow today. And that's not true, man. Bear with me a second. Okay. Yeah, but that's not true. Okay, there's more laws that you gotta follow than just 10 commandments, man. Okay, let's get this though. Okay, because a lot of guys are going around saying that you can eat whatever you want. I always like to harken on this topic, man, because this is an important topic. All right, because if you go to what is that? If you go to Isaiah 66 verse 17, it says, "Those who eat the mouse and the swine, they're all going to be consumed together," says the Lord. Okay, that's not what these pork chop eating pastors are out here talking about, man. I mean, hell, you just had Thanksgiving, last week. Okay, you just had Thanksgiving, so I guarantee you, man, these Christians had the damn swine on the table, man, some type of pork substance on the table. We all know you can't have a Christian get together without somebody bringing the swine's flesh, right? You can't have a Christian get together, at least as far as the Catholics go, without somebody bringing the swine's flesh, man. Okay, so we know these guys are clearly going completely off. But one thing they do is to go here to Matthew the 15th chapter. They go to what is it, the 17th verse on down. They read that, and we're going to get that, but I wanted to start a little bit above so we can get the context of what Christ is referring to. Okay, and a lot of guys are out here talking about, right, context, right, you got to get the context. Even Mike's on there talking about that. It's like, well, wait a second. Well, then you want to get the context on all those other verses we bring up, but how is it when you come to this one to justify you can eat anything? You don't want to get the context. It's called hypocrisy. Look that word up. Matthew chapter 15, verse 2. Or let's start at verse 1. It says, "Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which are of Jerusalem, saying, Why do thy disciples transgress the traditions of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread." Right, so keep that in mind. Let me read that again. "Why do thy disciples transgress the traditions of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread." Remember that. Okay, all you got to do is go over to verse 17, and Christ is going to respond to basically what they were asking him, man. Okay, so this is where everyone gets it twisted, because they're trying to make it look like that Christ is talking about, oh, well, you can eat whatever you want, right? It's not that goes in the mouth. Bear with me a second. It's not that which goes into the mouth that defiles the man. See, you can eat whatever you want. That's clearly going off, because that's not what Christ is talking about. Look at this. Now we got the context, or now we've read the context of what Christ is speaking about. Let's go to verse 17. It says, "Do not ye yet understand that whatsoever entereth in at the mouth goes into the belly, and is cast out into the drought? But these things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceedeth evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, theft, false witness, and blasphemies. These are the things that defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands defiles not a man." Let me read that last verse again, verse 20. "These are the things which defile a man, but to eat with unwashed hands does not defile a man." Right, so what Christ was talking about here is he was talking about if you eat without washing your hands. Okay? That was the whole conversation. Man. It had nothing to do with engaging in eating, unclean foods, man. Okay, that has nothing to do with the conversation. Okay, the whole conversation was about eating without washing one's hands. That's what the whole conversation was about. So that's a spiritual KO. Only these guys talking about that you can eat whatever you want. You can't go to that verse to back that statement up. I agree that it says that whatsoever goes in the mouth doesn't defile the man. I agree, that's what it says. But the problem is, what's the context of the discussion? The context was, as Christ was speaking about eating without washing your hands, is what Christ was speaking about. He wasn't talking about, eating swine's flesh. Or he wasn't talking about eating, lobster, crawfish, bunny rabbits. Right? He wasn't talking about any of that. He was talking about eating without, he was talking about eating without washing your hands. He wasn't talking about eating unclean meats. That wasn't what Christ is talking about in this chapter, man. And we've proven it, because we went to the context. We went to the second verse of the chapter, which gives the context. Okay, then we jumped down to the verse to Christian Creed. And even if when we went to verse 20, Christ even said, "But to eat with unwashed hands, that does not defile the man." Right, so Christ clearly was not talking about eating whatever you want there. Okay? Excuse me, bear with me a second. It's getting damn cold out here, man. Let's see, let's go to, what is that, Matthew, the 5th chapter? Bear with me a second. Let's see. Okay, just bear with me a second. Let me just check, make sure everything's up and running smoothly. Okay, we should be good. But this is another one, right? Christians bring this up to say that Christ, they say he fulfilled the law, is what they try to say, right? So that basically you don't have to follow any of the commandments today, is what the Christians are trying to teach. And I'll say that not all of them are doing that. I should make that distinction, that not every one of them is out there teaching that, but a lot of them are saying that, if that makes sense, right? Not all of them are teaching that, but a lot of them are out here talking about that. Okay, Matthew chapter 5, let's go to verse 17. It says, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, to heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." Right. So Christ didn't abolish the law there. Christ said he came and established the law. Okay, that's what Christ came and done, man. That doesn't mean that he done away with the law. Where the hell are these guys getting these doctrines from, man? Okay, that's the real question. Where the hell are these guys getting these doctrines from? Right? It's a bunch of bullshit, is what it is, man. Okay, but that's what's going on in these churches. First of all, they're on there talking about, some of them I've seen over the years, man, are talking about that, the real way to worship the Lord is you really have to go to church to do it. This is what some of them are saying. My question to that would be, if you go to, Acts the 7th chapter and Acts the 17th chapter, it speaks about, the Lord does not dwell in temples that are built by hands. So wait a second, if the Lord don't dwell in temples that are built by hands, well, what is a church? A church is a temple that's built by hands. Right, so therefore we know that, hey, look, really right now, this is church service out here. Okay, this is church service, right? I'm out here teaching, and you're out here listening, whether you're watching live or whether you're, watching after the stream. Okay, this is church service right here. Okay, so going back to what I was saying, man, is these Christians are just waxing worse and worse, man. Right, but this is just as a testament to the times we're in, man. Okay, the scriptures speak about, that in the last times there will be many deceivers that rise up, and deceive many, right? Many are going to be deceived by the people. Bear with me a second. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah, I have to constantly check that every couple minutes just to make sure everything's smoothly running. But going back to what I was saying, man, is as it says that in the last times, many people are going to rise up and they're going to deceive the people, man. And that's what you're seeing right now, right? Many people have risen up and they're deceiving their congregations. Okay, and it's it's sad, but at the end of the day, we know God's behind it, man. Why? Because God's behind the deception, and that's a hard truth to swallow, man. You ever hear the phrase, it's a hard pill to swallow? Right, and this is a good time to use that phrase, man. Okay, that's a hard pill to swallow, to believe that that the Most High, who people call, God, or Jesus, because a lot of guys teach that Jesus is God. But that's a hard pill to swallow, right? To know that God's behind the deception, right? Job, what is that? Job 12:16. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. 2 Thessalonians 2:11. Right, the Lord shall send them a strong delusion that they should believe a lie. Right, so the Most High is the one who is behind the deception in the world, man. Right, when you read the Bible, and this is a whole nother, topic to get into, but Christians are on there talking about, they believe that that the Most High is in like some type of battle with the devil or something like that. It's like, well, where's that at in the scriptures? That's not in the Bible. According to the Bible, Satan is under the Most High's authority. Okay, the Most High gives the commandments, and the spirit on the right-hand side or the left-hand side follow out the Lord's command. Okay, that's just what it is. Let me pull something up real quick. Because we're big on precepts, man. And unlike some of these guys that come onto the hangouts, guys are on there just, saying, oh, well, the Bible says that, Bible says this. You ask them, well, what verse says that? And they don't know, right? They don't know. They're just sitting there saying, right? They're sitting there talking about it, but then they can't give you a verse that says it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what you're dealing with, man. Okay, if you're going to say something, you have to, bring a precept to support what you're saying. All right, and that goes for all of us, man. Okay, we can't just sit here and make something up. Well, you got to give the, as Deacon would say, right? As Deacon would say, give me book, chapter, verse, man. Right? Give me book, chapter, verse, and then we'll build on that. Okay. Anyway, 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 19. It says, and he said, hear thou before the word of the Lord. Hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him, on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before Yahweh, and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him, and prevail. Also, go forth and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee. Right, so going by that, we understand that the deception comes from the Lord, man. And that's the hard truth, right? That's the hard pill to swallow, man. Okay, because we were all raised, and I can speak for myself from my own personal experience, that I was, raised, in the church, right? So I'm familiar, with the doctrine. I'm familiar with the doctrine. They teach that, there was some type of, battle that the Most High, and Satan fought together or something like that. And that Satan was cast, down to the earth, is what they say. It's like, okay, where's that at in the scriptures? And they can't go to, Revelation, the 12th chapter. Because wait a second, according to Christians, they don't believe that happened yet, because that's in Revelation, right? So Christians don't believe. And as I said, I'm not putting this on all of them, because there's certainly denominational differences, for lack of better words. But a lot of them believe nothing in Revelation already happened. It's like, okay, so you can't go to that and use that to support your statement. You can't go to Isaiah the 14th chapter to support your statement, because Isaiah the 14th chapter is talking about the king of Babylon. This is what Isaiah the 14th chapter is talking about, man. And that hasn't happened yet. Okay, same thing with these, these tried and refined guys, man. Right, these tried and refined guys who went to, Jeremiah the 50th chapter and the 51st chapter. We were trying to talk about that. And, they were saying that, that all was already fulfilled. Right, all that already happened. It's like, okay, cool. So why is it that if I go to, Jeremiah the 51st chapter, verse 48, it lines up with Revelation chapter 19? Bear with me a second. Right, so it just, it bears witness to what we said about a lot of guys just don't look into things, man. I mean, a lot of guys are just, going along to get along, for lack of better words. Okay, but hey, look, we're going to bring out the truth, man. All right, and if that hurts someone's feelings, then hey, well, that's just the way it is. Christ said, if you go to, Matthew chapter 11, verse 6, Christ said, blessed is the man who's not offended in me. Now, why would Christ say that if there was nothing that he's saying that would offend somebody? Think about that. Why would Christ say, blessed is the man who's not offended in me, if he's not teaching anything that would be controversial? Right? You get what I'm saying? It's like, how would that make any sense? Okay, so, going back to what I was talking about, man, is, definitely some hard pills to swallow, man. There's definitely some hard pills to swallow in the scriptures. But that's why the scriptures speak about, that you have to desire the sincere milk of the scriptures before you can take in the meat, right? And the meat would be, dealing with some of the prophecies, right? That would be meat. But, what would be the milk? The milk would represent, simple things like the gospel, right? Who the Messiah came for, right? And the story of Christ, right? The Passover, right? All of that would be considered to be the milk of the scriptures, right? But then the meat, the harder to digest part, would represent the prophecies, man. Okay? And these Christians don't know what the hell's going on with prophecy, man. I mean, hell, you got what's that cat? You got a flat Earth boxer on there talking about that Trump's the Antichrist is what he's talking about. Like, well, wait a second. The Bible says if you go to let's even get that real quick. Let's get that. Let me pull that up. Right, because guys are going around looking for, an Antichrist. Who's going to rise up and rule the world or something like that. Well, wait a second. According to the Bible, it says there's many Antichrists. Okay, this is the book of 1 John, chapter 2 and verse 18. It says, little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard, that Antichrist shall come. Even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. Then you jump down to verse 22. It says, right, so that's case closed, man. Right, that's a big case closed right there. Excuse me for just a second. Just want to check. Yeah, man, it's getting damn cold out here, man. Oh, and that's another thing, man, because you won't see these guys. Certain camps, they won't be coming out, man. Or certain guys won't be coming out and may I say speaking, for lack of better words, if that makes sense, because of the extreme cold, right? Like I was watching, what's those guys, man? The what is it, Johanna, right? You won't see them out. You won't see those guys out. You won't see maybe the Sons of Thunder might be out, but a ton of these guys, man. They won't be out. You got to give respect to, let's say, G and Mess, of course, which, of course, Shalom to the brothers in Great Millstone. Very much respect and will certainly do to all those brothers. And, even Sakari, maybe give them, credit too. They'll be out there. Okay, other than that, I can't think of any other people that will be out there during the event, which is the time we're coming into right now. All right, so, that's it, man. Right, you know what I'm saying? But going back to what I was reading, is it's very clear, right? It says what an Antichrist is. It says what? That he that denies the Father and the Son. This is a deceiver and an Antichrist. That's what it says. It says he that denies the Father and the Son, he is a liar and an Antichrist. Okay, that's what it says. All right, so if you deny the Most High Yahweh and His Son, then that makes you an Antichrist. Okay, so if guys can't get it, then they can't get it. Okay, as I said, man, this truth isn't for a whole lot of people. Right, this is not for many people. Okay, so this is, it's simple for us to understand. Once we came into this thing, started to, digest the sincere milk of the scriptures, right? The sincere, easy to understand parts. But then we started to get into the milk. Then we started to get into the meat of the scriptures. Okay, so as I said, you have to start with the milk, right? Before you get to the meat, you have to start with the milk. Okay, that's where you have to start off at, man. Okay, but it's as I said, man, you got a bunch of doctrines and devils, running around here, man. I mean, hell, you got this character, like this guy, look up Dreadlord on YouTube. And his name is the Southern Israelite. He calls himself the Southern Israelite. He's also talking about the audio's going through smoothly. So someone can let me know in the comments. That'll be good if someone can let me know. As I said, if someone can let me know if you can hear me smoothly, because I can't check because I'm screaming from the YouTube app. As I said, it's just, we're definitely in some spiritual times right now, man. Some spiritual times, that we're in. Okay, because these prophecies, are popping off the pages, man. All right, these prophecies are clearly, coming to pass left and right, man. And it tells you, let me get that. This is a good one. 21 and verse 28, it says, "And when these things begin to come to pass, land look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draws near." Right. So once we see these signs, right, and what are the signs? The signs are the prophecies, right? Once we see the signs coming, then we are to be, looking upwards. And then, wait a second, I would say to look up. I would say to look up. You know why? Because the UFOs, man, right? Just the UFOs are the chariots of the Most High. Right? The UFOs are the chariots of the Most High, man. Okay, and regardless of what these Christians are out here talking about, oh, UFOs are like, some type of satanic, agenda or something like that, Project Blue Beam. That's all bullshit, man. Okay, that's not true. All right, the UFOs that people are seeing around the world, those are the chariots of the Most High God. Right, the angels are inside of those chariots, man. Okay, and they're visiting the world. If you go to, what is that, 2nd Ezra 9th chapter. I don't got my apocrypha with me at the moment, but if you go to 2nd Ezra chapter 9, it says that, that when you see these things, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and this is the same time when the highest will begin to visit the world, right? So the highest is beginning to visit the world right now, right? The Most High, Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls God, is visiting the world right now, right? The world's being visited by the Most High. Okay, there's no other way to put it, man. It's very simple to understand. Okay, so these guys that can't get it, man, like these preterists out here talking about that, that Christ returned in 70 AD. I mean, what bird brain could be sitting there talking about that, man? And there's a lot of them. I mean, hell, man, there's a lot of these guys out here, talking about this. I mean, hell, man, I was shocked when I seen that, how many people are out here, teaching this nonsense, right? Because I did a YouTube search, for preterism, right? And I got like, 2,000, search results or something like that. So I scrolled through them a little bit, and I was like, damn, man, this guy's talking about, man. And basically, they were trying to use when it says that, there was some stand up man that should be tasted death to see the kingdom of heaven. And I'm trying to use that to say, oh, this stand up proves that, that the kingdom is, okay, just want to make sure. Give me a second. Right, but going back to what I was saying, man. Okay, that we're definitely in some spiritual times, man. Let me see. Bear with me just a second. Let's see. Right, so right now, man, the main, thing that we're supposed to be focusing on teaching the people is these prophecies, man. Why? Because that's the time that we're in right now. Okay, of course, we deal with the other stuff in the scriptures, of course, but the main forefront of our message, unlike the Christian church, is the forefront of our message is the prophecies. Okay, and that's, if you go to, Revelation 19th chapter, 10th verse, Christ is the spirit of prophecy. That we're sincere with this, right? Because we're coming out with the spirit of prophecy, man. And that's our testimony. That's what we're telling the people. Okay, because the word testimony just means to testify something. And that's also where you get the word testicles from. Okay, you can look that up. Okay, but it means to testify something, right? So we're testifying to the people, right? We're telling people that there's prophecies that are coming to pass, right? Like the mark of the beast, or, Babylon being taken down, which hasn't happened yet. It ain't talking about no Vatican City. Okay, just to put that out there on the forefront, man. Idiots out here, man. That's what you're dealing with. That's just what you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? But that's just what it is. The scriptures speak about, this truth isn't for a whole lot of people, man. If you go to, If you go to Matthew, the 7th chapter, the 13th verse, everyone knows that, right? Broad is the gate that leads to destruction, right? And narrow is the path that leads to life, and there be few that find it. That's true, man. And that shows, bear with me a second, that shows that Christianity isn't the way. Because if you Oh, do you know the way? Inside joke. Shout out to anybody who knows that meme. Um, but going back to the serious talk, if you do a little search and see how many Christians are in the world, you'll get a result of about, what is it, 2.8 billion? Yeah, 2.5 to 2.8 billion people on Earth who subscribe to the religion of Christianity, whether that be Seventh-day Adventist, Catholic, um, any of them, any denomination, right? Those are the people who subscribe to the doctrine of Christianity. Okay, let me see real quick. Right. So I mean, it just shows, man, that that's not the way. That isn't the way, man. The scriptures say narrow is the way which leads to life, right? Narrow is the path, to take that leads to life, man. Okay, and this is reiterated if you go to 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter, right? That's reiterated there, man. Okay, this is it's very clear, okay, that the mainstream Christianity views are clearly going off. And I was listening to Apostle Railwile, this, of course, shouting out to the elder apostle, very much respect, will certainly do. I was listening to one of his videos that he did, and he was I believe he entitled the video something along the lines of the madness of Christianity. You can look that up. It's on the YouTube channel named GMS Info Doc 13. Look that up and go subscribe to the Elder Apostle. But he was going hard on it, man. Right, bringing out precepts and saying, hey, look, Christians are out here trying to say that these Hebrew Israelites, their doctrine is not biblical, right? Why is it not biblical? Because they said that it goes against the world's view of the gospel. And you're damn right, it goes against the world's view. You know why? Because the view that the world has about the gospel is false. Let me see. Hey, shalom to everyone tuning in on the comment board. Back to is it's very clear that the Christians teach that Christ came and died for everybody. We know that's not true because Christ said in Matthew chapter 15, verse 24, where it says that he was only sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Say for everybody. And then you ask a Christian, well, what does John 3:16 mean? Because everyone brings that up. Well, what does the world mean there? Because if you go to John chapter 17, verse 9, Christ said that he prays not for the world. Wait a second, so how did Christ die for the entire world if Christ said that he didn't pray for the world? Again, read that. That's John chapter 17. John chapter 17 and verse 9. Might have said 7 before, but it's John chapter 17 and verse 9. All right, read that yourself. Okay, so wait a second. So Christ died for the whole world, but yet he said he didn't pray for the world. How would that make sense? But we understand it from our due diligence, from our research, that the world that Christ died for represents the nation of Israel. And how can you prove that? So if you go to Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 17, it speaks about Israel being a world of its own. Right? Israel is known as a world without end. Right? Israel is going to be a world of its own. Okay, so the world that Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Christ, died for, is actually talking about the nation of Israel. Okay, it's not talking about, anybody who just, calls upon Christ, right? An Edomite can't be saved. There's nowhere in the Bible that says an Edomite can be saved. Let me get some real quick. Bear with me a second. What is that? Obadiah? Let me just bear with me a second. Okay, it should be here. Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 18. It says, the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken. Right. So there's no salvation for a person who is an Edomite. That's not in the Bible. Okay, if you're an Edomite, you can't be saved. Okay, there's nowhere in the Bible that says an Edomite can be saved. That's not in the Bible. There's no scripture that says that. Okay, so any of these guys, because I know there's Israelite groups out here, I believe GOCC teach that the Edomites can be saved. But that's not in there. Where the hell is that at in the Bible, man? And the Edomites can't be saved. as what is it? As Minor God called him on the last stream, he called him, Vocrab Magone, right? Vocrab Magone said that Edomites were done away with. Well, wait a second, where the Edomites done away with? If we go to what is that? 2 Ezra 6 and 9, it says that Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. Wait, so the world hasn't ended yet. So how could the Edomites be done away with? And they can't get around. They can't get around that. And furthermore, who is in control of the world? Does the scriptures say? What is that? If we go to then what is that verse? If we go to Job chapter 9 verse 24, it says that the earth was given to the hands of the wicked. Right, so the earth was given into the hands of the wicked, man. Okay, so who the hell is in the control of the earth right now? The Edomites, man. So-called white people. Which, of course, I should give a disclaimer. Just because a person's white, it doesn't mean that they're an Edomite. Because we know that there are confusion to face Israelites scattered abroad. Right, Israel is scattered abroad all over the earth, man. So we look like all people today. I should, of course, make that statement. So we're not saying if you just see a white person walk by, that's an Edomite. We're not saying that. Okay, you are going to have Israelites who look like all nations of people, man. And that goes into the, what is that, Revelation 7, the multitude. Right, that multitude were Israelites who looked like the other nations. That's why John said that they were of all the other nations. Right, but they were Israelite foreigners who looked like all nations, man. Okay. Bear with me a second. But I mean, hey, man, at the end of the day, it's self-explanatory. Okay, I mean, the truths that we're bringing out, right, the simple truths that I'm bringing out, let me just check real quick. Okay, as I said, I like to check every couple minutes just to make sure everything's smooth. Let me just check my, okay. So yeah, man, I mean, it's very clear. Okay, it's very clear what's going on right now. Okay, so if one can't see it, well, then you can't see it. It's just that simple. Okay, if you can't see what's going on, then it ain't for you to understand. Oh, it tells you if you go to, what is that, Daniel, the 12th chapter, says that the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand. Right, so if you can't understand it, well, then it was set up that way, man. Okay, because the righteous are going to hear and understand it. Okay, but if you can't get it, then this ain't for you, man. Okay, because that's another thing. That's another lie of the church. They teach that the Bible is for everybody. That's not true. Where in the Bible does it say it's for everyone? That's not in the Bible. The Bible isn't for everybody, man. First of all, the Bible is written for the Israelites. Okay, which the Israelites today are these so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. You are the Lord's chosen people, man. Okay, and that truth has been hidden, right? They don't want you to know about that. They don't want you to know who you are. Okay, they don't want the Lord's people to know who they are. Okay, because that has been hidden. Okay, in the Bible, it speaks about the transatlantic slave trade. That was a prophecy in the Old Testament. Was that Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. Okay, and you link that with Revelation chapter 11, verse, verse 18? Okay, where he says their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city, which spiritually is Sodom and Egypt. Right, so the Israelites were taken from Africa because they fled into Africa around 70 AD, right? They got scattered abroad in 70 AD. Okay, so they primarily went to Africa, and then later on down the line, from Africa they got taken to America. Okay, on the what we call the transatlantic, slave trade, which was what, 1619? Okay. Oh, and let me deal with this real quick. Let me deal with this topic. Let me pull this up real quick. I wanted to make a little comment on this. Bear with me just a second. Let's see. I just wanted to make a little comment on this real quickly. If you go to was this Genesis, the 15th chapter? Yeah. Guys go here, and they've been saying this for a couple of years. Guys go to Genesis chapter 15, then they go to the 13th verse, and I'm going to read it. Go but they use this to say that, oh, we'll see. Well, Christ was going to return, in 2019 to fulfill the 400 years prophecy, right? Now let me read that. But that's going completely off. Genesis chapter 15, verse 13. It says, "And he said unto Abraham, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And listen here. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance." Right, so guys will read that, and they'll try to say that that's talking about America, right? That Israelites dwelt in America from, well, of course, Native Americans were here, so they were Israelites. But as far as transatlantic slave trade, right, 1619 to 2019 would be 400 years. So they're trying to use this verse to say, oh, so that means that the Lord gave them Christ. And obviously that didn't happen, right? So that shows that they're false. But wait a second, the verse underneath, let's read that again. It says, "And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance." Right, now if you're familiar with the story of the Exodus, right? When the Israelites were delivered from Egypt, they took substance of the Egyptians. So that verse under there proves that was talking about the Egyptians, man. Okay, that has nothing to do with America in that chapter. That already happened in the past. That was dealing with ancient Egypt, right? I know that America is modern day Egypt, that's true. But as far as the verse I read, that was talking about ancient Egypt. Okay, so this is why, man, you got to be skillful when you deal with the scriptures, because you're going to have guys out here that are, playing that Hebrew hopscotch, right? Trying to, make it look like they're on a level, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like vocab, right? He went to, I was watching one of his videos when he was with the apostles of GMS, and he mentioned that, well, what about when Apostle Paul went to Agrippa? What is it, I want to say the 25th chapter? You can pull that up. But he, said, oh, wait a second, but he told them that, he wants them to be saved too, if it was not for these chains that he was in. So he was using that to say, oh, see, well, Paul wanted the other nations to be saved. But wait a second, here's the problem. Paul was just trying to be subtle. Okay, Paul was trying to be subtle when he was dealing with Agrippa. He was just trying to make them, feel bad for him, by speaking smooth words so they would, allow him to go free. Okay, that's what happened. He wasn't being serious with that. He was just trying to, make them, try to, may I say, love up on him, if that makes sense. And not in a gay way, of course, but, make them, feel for him to let him go free, if that makes sense. Okay, that's what was going on with that. Okay, just to clarify. Let me just see. As I said, we just got to constantly check that every couple minutes. I'll go for 20 more minutes because the phone battery's running a little low. But yeah, man, it's self-explanatory at this point, man. Okay, because we see the time that we're in right now, man. We're definitely in those times. Okay, we're in the times now when who the world calls Christ, right, Yahushua, is beginning to visit the world, man. Right, the Most High is visiting the world. That's why you have all of these, UFO sightings. They're just happening, literally every single day, man. And that's an understatement. I mean, you have hundreds of sightings, going on all over the world every single day, man. This wasn't happening, 15, 20 years ago, man. Okay, which I'm not that old, right? Just say a little bit before I was born, leading up to, 5 years ago, this stuff wasn't being sighted every day. Maybe once a week one might be seen. But what we're seeing right now, this is just, it's just, maybe we say unprecedented, if that makes sense, right? It's not something anybody would have expected to see. Okay, but yet it's happening, right? And the government will tell you now that, hey, look, we don't know what the hell these things are. They'll come out and tell you that. But then you got, as I quoted earlier, man, you got these Christians talking about, oh, well, the Most High, is against these UFOs because there's like uh, Satan and his fallen angels are in the UFOs. That's what the Christians are teaching, man, and that's false. That's not true. As I elaborated on earlier, that the UFOs are the chariots of the Most High, man. Okay, the UFOs are the chariots of the Most High. So if one can't get it, then you can't get it. It's just that simple. Okay, but that's just what it is, man. Okay, that's just what it is at the end of the day. Okay, so going back to what I was saying earlier, about dealing with the law, man. Right, because yesterday you had this individual come on the show, and he was talking about, well, I don't think, the Lord's going to, punish somebody, if they don't follow, the other 603 laws. They only have to follow 10 laws, is what he was, is what he was trying to say, basically. It's like, well, wait a second. So why can I read about how Christ is going to, may I say, judge the people who are, not following his commandments? Let me rephrase that. I was sidetracked. Well, I can read in the scriptures that the Lord is going to punish people for, not following all the commandments, man, or at least trying to follow the commandments to the best of our ability. Okay, because we are under grace right now, which simply means that we can't fully keep the law 100% today. So we're just under grace. Okay, we're under grace right now, man. Okay, and what that simply means, it doesn't mean you can go sin and do whatever you want. Because what is sin according to the Bible? 1 John 3 and 4, for sin is the transgression of God's law. Right? So we know what sin is according to the scriptures. So that's another hypocrisy. So wait a second. If the law is done away with, as Christianity teaches, well, wait a second. So that means there can be no sin because there's no law. So if there is no law, that means there can be no sin, because what is sin? Sin is the transgression of God's law. So if there is no law that's standing today, well, there can be no sin. So wait a second, according to the philosophy of the Christian church, which the word philosophy means a doctrine, right? A teaching. So according to that philosophy, they believe that people die and then they can burn in hell if they're wicked, right? That if you're righteous you go to heaven, if you're wicked you die and go to hell, is what the the church teaches. It's like, well, wait a second. If that's so, if there's no law, biological deduction, that means there's no sin. So how can people go to hell then today if there's no law to follow? Therefore, nobody can sin because there's no law that needs to be followed. So that clearly cuts these guys talking about that you have to, you don't have to follow the laws, for lack of better words. I mean, that cuts them to shreds, man. As I said, man, cats be tap dancing around these scriptures like the bottom half of Betty Rips. No, it's true, but it's true, man. You see that everywhere, right? Everyone thinks they know what's going on, but then when the precepts come out, they don't want to talk about it. Just like these cats the other day, man. The one guy brought up, what was his name? Pops, right? Which was Mike's dad. He joined the show and he was talking about, well, believes that the Most High believe the Most High is behind people. Well, we went to the Bible. What is that? 1 Samuel 2 and 6, for the Lord kills and makes alive. The Lord wounds and he heals. Right? And there's none who can deliver out of the Most High's hands. That's what the Bible says. That's not what ETT says. That's not what the Mind of God says. That's not what Bible Defender says. That's not what Tahar says. That's what the Bible says. Okay? That's what the scriptures say. That's not what I'm making up. That's what the Bible says. Okay, so it's it's self-explanatory at this point, man. Okay, if guys can't get it, then they can't get it. Okay, just that simple. Okay, if guys can't get it, then they can't get it. All right, and that's just how it got to be at the end of the day, man. Or as Elder Apostle Tahar would say, hey, look, if you can't get it, we're moving on. Right? If you can't get it, then we're moving on. Right, and that's a good way to look at it, man. Okay, you better get this word while you have it, man. Okay, as right now we have the liberty to use YouTube. Okay, we have the liberty right now to use this platform called the internet in order to, watch videos and teach and interact with fellow believers on. But very soon in the near future, man, that's going to be taken away. All right, this platform's not going to be here forever. Okay, there's going to come a point in time where this platform's going to be it is right now. Right, that's why they're taking down videos if you use certain code words, man. So you got to be careful, man. It wasn't like this a few years back. I remember, I'll give an example. The whole flat Earth thing, when that was popular back in 2015, 16, you could just search up, flat Earth on YouTube, and you'll see hundreds of videos that pop up, that are given. Some of them are trying to debunk it, some of them are trying to prove it, and some of them are debates, right? But guess what? If you look it up now, just type in flat Earth on YouTube, every single video for the first, 25 pages of the search are all debunking videos. It's like, why is that? Is it because maybe they're trying to hide something? Do you think that maybe it's because they're trying just a second. Which I'm going to go for another 10 minutes. I don't want to run out the that's a quick recap. It's just clear what's going on, man. Right, that we're living in the times now where the highest is beginning to visit the world. Right, the highest who the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ. They're visiting the world right now. Okay, so if one can't get it, then we're moving on. Okay, if you can't get it, then you can't get it. It's just that simple. Okay, it's too late in the game, to go back and forth with certain people, man. Okay, if you can't get that salvation's only for Israel, then we're moving on. If you can't get that we're not supposed to eat unclean foods, then we're moving on. If you don't know that the Lord's black, then we're moving on. Of course, I should say that if there's a sincere new listener who just stumbles across this truth, of course, we'll deal with them and explain it to the brother, of course. But, there's only so many times that you can go back and forth with somebody that you just got to move on, after a certain amount of time, man. Okay? There's only so many times you can go over the same subject with somebody, and if they still can't get it, well then, hey, it ain't for them. Just like with this whole tried and refined thing, we bring the brothers on the show, to have a friendly chat with them, which half the time they end up resorting to, name calling and, the sort, you know what I'm saying? Which is necessary. But, hey, look, I had them on 6-7 times now, and it's the same thing regurgitated every single time. The whole reincarnation thing, they believe is false. They believe Babylon's Vatican City. They believe that, the dinosaurs don't exist. They believe that we're under the new covenant today. They believe that pretty much, and I don't want to put words in their mouth. But, and I know someone's going to take that, take a screenshot of the pose they just put up there, right, and say, well, CETT is some type of Satanist, which I did that unintentionally, by the way. Sometimes you can't control your fingers, especially at work, if you know what I'm saying. So somebody's going to use that to try to be funny, and I'm already familiar with that, and that's what guys, always do, man. Right? You got what is this guy? You got LOP out there making YouTube poop, which is that's all, but that's all. It's always good to have fun, but you know what I'm saying. It's getting real out here, man. Like, oh, okay, sorry. For the last couple of years, called him before, because what he would do is he would come around, make 100 different accounts to stalk you, and do videos, performances, or teaching videos, just childishness. You know what I'm saying? But this is the level that these people are on at. It's just, it is what it is, man. That's how you gotta look at it at the end of the day. It just is what it is. It's unfortunate, of course, but hey, you can't change what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, I just wanted to, do a little lesson. Come out here on the highways and byways, just to give a couple, may I say, teaching, points. Okay, but let me see real quick. Bear with me a second. Right, but going back to what I was saying, man, is it's unfortunate what you got going on out here. That was very unfortunate, what you got going on, man, because a lot of these guys, I'll give the example, right, these tried and refined guys, man. Now, I used to remember watching those guys because they were part of the GMS Chicago camp, back in the day. They ended up going off. They were talking about, got into flat Earth, which is right, but then they got off onto some other stuff, talking about volcanoes and stuff like that. It's like, what the hell are these guys doing, man? Right, so those guys are a good example, of what we're not supposed to be doing, man. Don't use those guys. Oh, the guys on there talking about the nuclear weapons don't exist. What the hell are these guys talking about, man? You know what I'm saying? It's, it's too much. It really is just too much dealing with some of these guys, man. Okay, so going back to what I was saying, you invite them on the platform, to have a friendly, discussion, but then it usually always turns out to go negative. You know what I'm saying? Guys always get in their feelings and they resort to name calling, right? Like I was dealing with this one character, goes by the name of Midas, right? It was on Sacramento Truth Movement's channel. He was doing a live show, so I joined for an hour or two. And this guy Midas, where we started off having a good discussion, but then he started to get emotional, right? Because I started to bring up certain, subjects that he, wasn't, may I say, well versed in, for a lack of better words, right? So I brought up certain things that he didn't know about. So what he had to do is, instead of admitting he didn't know the information, which is respectable, right? Because it takes a real man to admit that they're wrong, that they went on, right? But instead of doing that, he had to resort to, the name calling, making fun of, making fun of what your hair looks like, you know what I'm saying? Or making fun of your, your facial hair, or something like that, or your profile picture. You know what I'm saying? So that just shows that they lost the discussion. The fact that they can't deal with the information presented, but rather deal with, just making fun of what someone looks like. I mean, come on, that's a new low, man. I mean, come on, what the hell are these guys doing? You know what I'm saying? But that's what you're dealing with out here, man. But that's just what you're dealing with. And as I said, it's unfortunate, but that's just what it is. That's the level that people have came down to, today. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. I mean, it's just, hey, all I'm gonna say, man, is it's just, be lucky and be, what's the word I'm looking for? What would be the correct word to use? Be thankful, right? Be thankful for being in the know. That's all I'm gonna say, man. 'Cause you got a lot of guys out here, man, who are not in the know. And even some of these truther guys, man, you don't want to just believe somebody because they come up with a channel and add the word truther on their name, man. Doesn't mean nothing. Hell, some of these guys have damn truther in their name, man, but yet they'll be an atheist. You know what I'm saying? Believing in the theory of evolution, which is bullshit in itself. Okay? And even, what's this guy? Charles Darwin, right? The maker of the theory of evolution, the one who came up with the theory. He admitted in his writings, he made a statement and said, that one, part that one could come against my teaching would be the concept of the eye, right? Because your eyes, you can see, clearer than any, television or camera that's ever been created. Now, why is that important? Because wait a second, if a camera, nobody would argue that a camera came into existence, just by, may I use the word, random happening, for lack of better words, right? No one would argue that, of course. So, by the same line of logic, how could one then say that the eye came into existence by random happening, right? Right, and I was listening to, what's this character? Eric Dubay, right? I was listening to one of his, what's the word I'm looking for? One of his teachings. He did a good video on it. If you ask me down below, I'll send you a link to it. Just remind me if you want to watch it. But he did a video about evolution, right? And, here for me a second. He brought up an example and basically said something along the lines of, if you were out in the woods, right, and if you found a vehicle, right, like a car, a brand new car, sitting there, even though all the elements for the car, to be formed are found within the earth, that is true. But nobody would think, oh, well, that car just came into existence, just one day, everything just came together and made the car. Obviously, nobody would argue and believe something like that. Obviously, no sane person would come to that conclusion that if there's a vehicle sitting in the middle of nowhere, that over time the vehicle just magically assembled itself by magic, right? Nobody would believe that. It's about the same line of logic. How can then one argue then that, let's just say, the system of a human being could somehow come into existence by a random happening? How the hell would that make any sense? Because the body works by all the organs have to operate together in order to control the body, right? For example, you can't have the brain without the heart, because the heart pumps the blood to the brain, right? So if one of them existed at one time when the other one didn't exist, well, the whole structure itself could not possibly exist, right? So obviously, it's very clear that the world we live in was intelligently designed. Okay, the facts is not the one. Anyone that doesn't believe that just subscribes to pseudoscience, which is a false science. Oh, and that's even in the scriptures. I don't want to first off the top of the head, but it speaks about science falsely, right? I believe it goes science falsely so-called, something like that. You can look it up. But that's in there, man. They're using false science to back up their beliefs, right? These theories. But anyway, I'm going to call that the lesson there. Let me see. All right, hey, thanks for everyone stopping by. I'm going to call the video there. I hope this was edifying. And of course, I'm going to end off by giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, for wisdom and the understanding of this truth. And I'm going to say shalom.